The final season of the popular crime drama Ozark officially hit Netflix on Friday the 21st of January. Today we're going to give you a rundown of what happened in season 1 to 3 before you sit down to binge watch the final season. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. First, a small refresher to jog your memories. This season is the fourth of the bunch, which obviously means fans will definitely need a refresher course about how it all started. Season 1 of Ozark saw Marty Byrde, who's played by Jason Bateman, hustling, doing a side job as a money launderer for the second largest drug cartel in Mexico, which then abruptly became his main job, forcing him and his family to swap their home in Chicago for the grim, redneck-drenched Ozark Lakes in Missouri, hence the name of this whole show. Over the course of the season, things went from bad to worse and then straight up abysmal, as he attempted to repay his debt to the cartel by filtering millions of dirty dollars through newly acquired businesses in the town, which included a strip club, resort, and oddly enough, a funeral parlor. What happens with Marty and the cartel? Everything kicked off when it was revealed in episode 1 that Marty's business partner, Bruce, had been skimming money off the top of the cash piles they had been laundering for the cartel. Bruce and his girlfriend were murdered and Marty was next to go, but the quick thinker that he is, he managed to talk his way out of it with a plan to wash $5 million out in Missouri as an act of contrition. This was all going pretty well until Marty became ensnared with Jacob and Darlene Snell, a scary hillbilly couple who run the town's heroin trade. They'd been covertly dealing out of the lakes during Pastor Mason Young's boatside sermons, and this operation was threatened by Marty's plans to build a church and thus inadvertently shut down their means of distribution. Marty then came up with a plan to appease both the cartel and the Snells, brokering a deal which would see the cartel distributing the Snells' heroin. Things quickly fell apart when Darlene Snell decided to blow the scary cartel man's head off in the closing moments of the finale. The Langmores, who are they? The Langmores are made up of 19-year-old matriarch Ruth, her two teenage cousins, one of whom, Wyatt, became friendly with Marty's daughter Charlotte, her two uncles Russ and Boyd, and lastly, her incarcerated father Cade. They're a gang of rednecks who, underestimating Marty's criminal undertakings, attempted to rob him of a significant chunk of the cartel's money early on in season 1. Ruth was then taken under Marty's wing to help him run his strip club and take care of nitty-gritty jobs after Marty had explained the whole ordeal to the Langmores. Russ began a relationship with undercover police agent Roy Petty, and it later transpired that Petty was just sleeping with him to blackmail him into bringing down Marty. Russ decided to kill Marty and run off his whole cash, only for Ruth to rig the dock to electrocute both him and Boyd in order to save Marty's life. Did the pastor actually kill his son? The grimmest bit of plot in Ozark season 1 saw Marty drag the pastor and his pregnant wife into his dodgy dealings after deciding that a church was another good business through which to funnel drug money. He got the young couple all excited by telling them he would build them a church, only to pull the rug out when the Snells told him to back off. Worse, he spilled the beans to the pastor about Snell's drug operation at his sermons, sending him into a moral tailspin which ended in him refusing to preach while the drug deals were going on. The Snells, being absolutely insane, then murdered his wife shortly after she gave birth to his child as a form of twisted retribution. In the finale, it looked as if the pastor, who had endured a crisis of faith, was going to drown his newborn son, lowering him into the lake and holding him under for an uncomfortably long period of time. Thankfully, though, he raised him out, which clarified that it was a baptism rather than an execution. So, no, pastor did not murder his son. Now moving on to the season 2 recap. What happens with the Byrdes in the casino? Marty's original plan was to take his family and flee once the casino was established, but his plans to leave Ruth holding the bag were foiled by his wife Wendy because she made the executive decision that the Byrde family would stay in the Ozarks instead of flee. In order to build the casino, Marty had to work closely with the Kansas City Mafia. He promised the head honcho that his casino would be unionized, a promise he immediately reneged on the second things heated up for the cartel. That's why last season ended with the Kansas City Mafia's head, Frank Cosgrove, sending a bomb into Marty's office. The Byrde's older child demanded to be emancipated from her family last season. Wendy and Marty eventually reached a compromise with their daughter, keeping her in the family as long as they go to therapy. What happens to the pastor, Petty, Cade, and Snell? Mason's life spiraled out of control after his wife was murdered, but it took CPS taking Zeke away from him for him to finally snap, causing him to kidnap Wendy as a revenge. As a result, he was shot to death by Marty. After being blackmailed through his mother and targeted by the Navarro cartel, Agent Roy Petty met his end rather ungracefully. While fishing, Agent Petty got into an argument with Ruth's father, Cade Langmore, who bashed Agent Petty's head in with a brick, tossed his body into the river. Ever since he emerged from jail and tried to convince Ruth to betray the Byrdes, Cade has been nothing but trouble for the Navarro cartel. While trying to steal Marty's money, Cade attacked Wendy and Marty's daughter Charlotte. This infuriated Wendy, but never one to lose her cool. She offered Cade $500,000 to leave town. No questions asked. He took the deal, but it was a setup, but an associate of the Navarro cartel killed him. We have the last death Darlene was responsible for in season 2, and that is her own husband. On multiple occasions, the Navarro cartel warned Jacob that Darlene was trouble. Not only did she kill their associate Dell in season 1, but she also spiked their product just to make a point. Right before Jacob murdered his wife, Darlene beat him to the punch by poisoning his coffee, causing her beloved Jacob to have a heart attack. How much does the FBI and Wyatt really know? The biggest revelation happened to Wyatt Langmore this season, and that is the knowledge that back in season 1, his cousin and best friend Ruth accidentally killed Wyatt's father, Russ, and his uncle Boyd. In her defense, she was trying to kill Marty Byrde instead of her own family, but a death is a death. After her own father threatened to tell Wyatt what she did, Ruth came forward with the truth, and as soon as she told Wyatt, he drove away from her in anger. Also, basically at this point in the series, the FBI knows just about everything. They suspect that Helen works for the Navarro cartel and that the Byrdes are laundering money for them, but what they're lacking is solid proof. Lastly, here's a rundown of season 3. What's going on between Ruth and Wendy? Who is Ruth working for? When Ruth thought that Ben died because of the cartel's orders, she was understandably upset, but overall alright with what happened. But when she learned that Wendy was the one who gave the order, her entire demeanor changed. The betrayal she had felt may be just as terrifying as pissing off the Navarro cartel. Who's Ruth working for now? Darlene and Wyatt. Initially, Ruth refused, but after Darlene shot Ruth's rival in the pecker, she became a bit more agreeable. Going into season 4, it's unclear which business opportunity Ruth will pursue. What's the deal with the Lagunas cartel? In season 3, it became apparent that the Kansas City mob had been working with the Lagunas cartel, making Marty's dealings with Frank all the more complicated. However, Marty put an end to all those complications by using the drone footage his son captured. Marty showed FBI agent Maya Miller pictures of an illegal business deal the Lagunas cartel undertook. If a Mexican cartel is caught committing a crime on U.S. soil, which gives the United States military permission to take action against that organization. Long story short, some major members of the Lagunas cartel were arrested. Cartel as a whole was placed under FBI investigation, and Marty and Wendy became the Navarro cartel's biggest heroes. What does Helen's death mean for Marty? This means that Marty and Wendy are officially at the top. Prior to season 3's finale, there was some distance between the Byrdes and the Navarro cartel. Marty and Wendy may have orchestrated some murders, but it was always on Helen's orders and under strict threat to their lives. Now they're going to be the ones calling the shots. That's it for today, folks, but we'll be back with more interesting videos. To stay informed about the entertainment industry, keep watching our videos. Tell us what you're expecting from the final season of this well-loved crime drama by sounding off in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe before leaving.